There is a particular kind of silence that has nothing to do with peace. It is the silence that settles in after too many storms. You wake up one morning and realize you are not sad, not angry, not anxious. You are simply nothing. The people you love feel slightly far away. The things that used to matter feel like objects behind glass. You go through the motions of your life and wonder, quietly and with a certain dread, whether something has broken inside you permanently. This is not a rare experience. It is one of the most human things there is, and yet it is one of the least talked about, perhaps because it is so difficult to describe. Pain has a language, grief has a language, but emotional numbness, that flat, grey, cotton wool state of feeling nothing, sits just outside the reach of ordinary words. So let us try to reach it together. The first thing worth understanding is that emotional numbness is not a failure of character. It is not weakness, indifference, or coldness. In many cases, it is the opposite. It is what happens to a nervous system that has been asked to carry more than it can hold for longer than it should have had to. Think of it this way. The human capacity to feel is not infinite. It is more like a reservoir. Under ordinary circumstances, that reservoir refills naturally through rest, connection, small pleasures, moments of safety. But when the demands on a person become relentless, when grief follows grief, when stress compounds stress, when the emotional labor of daily life never pauses, that reservoir empties. And when it empties completely, the system does something remarkable. It shuts down non-essential functions to preserve what remains. Connection, intimacy, joy, curiosity. These are not luxuries in a full life, but they are treated as luxuries by an exhausted nervous system. When survival is the priority, feeling deeply becomes something the system simply cannot afford. The numbness is not a malfunction. It is a form of protection. It is the mind drawing a curtain across the window because the light has become too much to bear. This matters enormously because many people who experience emotional numbness interpret it as evidence that something is wrong with them at a fundamental level. They worry they have become cold, or that they never really cared, or that they are incapable of love. None of these things are necessarily true. What is more likely true is that they have been running on empty for a very long time, and the system has finally said, enough. There is a particular version of this that appears in relationships, and it is worth examining carefully. Sometimes a person reaches a point where they feel nothing for a partner they once loved deeply. The warmth has gone, the connection feels distant. They may begin to wonder whether they have fallen out of love, and sometimes that is what has happened. But sometimes, and this is the part that gets missed, what has actually happened is exhaustion. Not the end of love, but the depletion of the emotional resources needed to feel it. When someone has been reaching for connection and not receiving it, when they have been anxious and unmet for long enough, something shifts, the reaching stops, the longing quiets, and in its place comes a kind of flatness that can feel, from the inside, like indifference. It is not indifference, it is exhaustion wearing indifference's clothes. The person has not stopped caring, they have simply run out of the energy that caring requires. This distinction matters because the decisions a person makes from that flat, depleted place are not always the decisions they would make from a rested, reconnected one. Leaving a relationship, withdrawing from friendships, abandoning things that once gave life meaning. These choices, made from the depths of emotional shutdown, may not reflect what the person actually wants. They may reflect only how depleted they have become. There is also a deeper philosophical dimension to this experience that is worth sitting with. Human beings are not simply feeling machines. We are meaning-making creatures. We do not just feel things, we feel things in relation to what we believe those feelings mean. And when life has delivered enough pain, enough disappointment, enough loss, one of the quieter responses the psyche can make is to begin withdrawing its investment in meaning itself. If caring leads to loss, the mind may begin to wonder whether caring is worth the risk. If hoping leads to disappointment, hope begins to feel dangerous. If loving leads to hurt, love begins to feel like a liability. And so, gradually, almost without noticing, a person may begin to pull back from the very things that make life feel worth living. Not because they want to, but because the cost of engagement has come to feel too high. This is not a conscious decision. It happens slowly, the way a fire dims when it is no longer fed. And by the time a person notices it, they are often already standing in the cold, wondering where the warmth went. One of the most important things to recognize here is that emotional numbness and depression can look very similar from the outside and can feel very similar from the inside. The flatness, the loss of joy, the sense of disconnection from yourself and others, these are features of both. If the numbness you are experiencing extends beyond one relationship or one area of life, if it colors everything, if it has been present for a long time and does not lift, that is worth taking seriously. Not as a reason for alarm, but as a signal that something deeper may need attention. And that speaking to a professional is not a sign of weakness, but an act of genuine self-respect. But for many people, emotional numbness is situational. It is the direct result of a specific period of sustained stress, grief, or emotional overload. And in those cases, the path back to feeling is not dramatic. It is quiet, and it is slow, and it begins with one thing above all others: permission. Permission to rest without guilt. Permission to feel nothing for a while, without interpreting that nothing as a verdict on your worth or your capacity. Permission to stop performing wellness and simply be where you are. The nervous system does not respond well to being forced. You cannot bully yourself back into feeling. You cannot shame yourself into joy. What you can do is create the conditions in which feeling becomes safe again. Small things, moments of genuine rest, time in the company of people who do not require anything from you, contact with the natural world, the slow, patient practice of noticing, not forcing, just noticing, what still moves you, even slightly. Sometimes it is something very small, a piece of music, the quality of light on a particular afternoon, the smell of rain. These small movements are not nothing. They are the first signs that the reservoir is beginning to refill. They deserve to be treated with care. There is also something worth saying about the courage it takes to feel again after a long period of numbness. Because returning to feeling means returning to vulnerability. It means accepting that caring costs something, that love involves risk, that being alive in the full sense of the word means being available to both joy and pain. That is not a small thing to ask of someone who has been hurt. It is, in fact, one of the bravest things a human being can do. You are not broken because you feel nothing right now. You are not cold or damaged or beyond reach. You are a person who has felt a great deal and whose inner world has done what inner worlds do when they have been asked to carry too much for too long. The silence is not the end of the story. It is a pause. And pauses, when they are honored rather than feared, have a way of becoming the beginning of something new. If this video has touched something in you, consider sharing it with someone who might need to hear it. And if you would like to explore more of these quieter, deeper questions about human experience, Inside the Labyrinth is here for exactly that. And if this spoke to a part of you that rarely gets heard, stay with that feeling for a moment. You are not broken because you feel deeply. You are only beginning to understand yourself. Subscribe to Inside the Labyrinth for more reflections on the hidden patterns of the human mind.